I broke up with a girl because she wants to remain a virgin. Now she wants to go back, but it turns out she slept with another guy. 3 years ago, when I was 23 and she was 21, I met my now ex-girlfriend while we were both attending university, living in separate residence halls. Over the initial months, we developed a relationship that was, for the most part, filled with happiness. However, there was a persistent issue stemming from her upbringing. She was raised in a deeply religious household by her father, a pastor. Despite her openness about not adhering to their faith, a stance her family reluctantly accepted, I believe her religious background influenced certain aspects of her life. My own upbringing in a different religion, which I no longer practice seriously, contrasted with hers. Early in our relationship, she disclosed her decision to remain a virgin until marriage, a choice not motivated by religious beliefs, but rather by a desire not to disappoint her father. While we engaged in other forms of intimacy, we abstained from intercourse. Prior to our relationship, I had limited romantic experiences and was also a virgin, a status that remains unchanged if defined by the absence of intercourse. As time passed, my frustration grew regarding the lack of a conventional sexual relationship, especially as I observed my peers engaging in such relationships freely. Despite my inability to comprehend her stance fully, I never pressured her to change her mind. The notion of marriage seemed distant, given my financial situation and academic commitments during university. In the final year of my studies, while she embarked on her first professional role after completing her degree early, she often spoke of successful colleagues, exacerbating my feelings of inadequacy as a financially struggling student. Her continued reluctance towards a full sexual relationship further fueled my resentment. Our differing desires and life trajectories led to arguments and ultimately the painful decision to end the relationship. The breakup was heart-wrenching, leaving her in tears and me filled with regret. It's been about half a year since the breakup with my ex-girlfriend, and throughout this period, we've hardly communicated. During these months, my focus was solely on completing my degree, leaving no room for romantic endeavors. Now, as I stand on the verge of starting my first professional job post-university, she reached out, expressing a desire to meet. Despite initial reservations, I agreed, considering our significant past together. During our meeting, she confessed to missing me deeply over the last 6 months and proposed the idea of rekindling our relationship. This time, she was open to engaging in a sexual relationship, a shift from her previous stance. Curious about this sudden change, I pressed for answers. She reluctantly revealed that during our time apart, she had a brief affair with an older colleague. This relationship eventually became sexual. She assured me it was consensual, though she noted his persistence. This revelation was a shock to me. I struggled to understand how she could reserve her virginity in our years-long relationship, yet decide to engage sexually with someone she barely knew. I questioned if her newfound openness to a sexual relationship was because she was no longer a virgin, to which she confirmed. I asked for some time alone to process everything. The situation leaves me torn. My feelings for her remain strong, yet I can't shake off the feeling of being led on for years. While a part of me sees the logical path of getting back together, now with the possibility of a sexual relationship, I can't ignore the discomfort and betrayal these revelations have brought. I'm grappling with mixed emotions. There's a longing for what we had and the potential of what could be, against a backdrop of hurt and confusion over her actions during our separation. The thought of resuming our relationship under these circumstances is challenging. Despite the logical reasons for reuniting, I'm hesitant to disregard my feelings of unease. Any advice on navigating this complex situation would be greatly appreciated. Several comments have been quite critical of my ex, which isn't entirely unexpected since you're not acquainted with her. She isn't the malevolent, manipulative character some might imagine. I would never have been involved with someone of that nature. She remains the witty, intelligent, engaging, and attractive person I fell for. Any man would consider himself fortunate to be with her, myself included if I believed I could manage the complexities involved. However, I've come to realize that perhaps a clean break is the best course of action. Although she may have regrets about her relationship with another man, it's not my place to judge, especially since she was single and we were no longer together. I hadn't anticipated any further communication from her, so this entire scenario has taken me by surprise. I'm grappling with feelings of hurt, largely because it feels like a significant hit to my pride, making me feel inferior in some way. I acknowledge this as my issue to confront and improve upon. This relationship has left me with some unresolved issues regarding intimacy that I need to address. Some have recommended therapy as a beneficial step, and I'm inclined to agree. It seems like a constructive way to navigate through these complex emotions stemming from this experience. I will respond to a few comments before updating. Commenter: I would ask her why she was willing to sleep with this guy after such a short relationship, but after 3 years she was not willing to sleep with you? My answer: I think this is the right question, because I don't know why she didn't say. All she said was that the guy was persistent. I'm torn about whether to simply text her that I don't want to rekindle things and leave it all in the past, or whether I should ask more questions about what happened. Because this hurts. I don't know if I'm ready to get details of her relationship with the other guy. Sometimes I just feel like I'm stunted in some way. A few comments have said I'm immature, and they're probably right. I know I'm the one who ended the relationship, and that she's entitled to do what she wants with anyone else. Still doesn't make it hurt any less. And maybe it's just best to say goodbye and leave all this in the past. Update. Since the age of 16, I've maintained a daily journal, and much of what I'm about to share comes from those entries. I'm aware that my writing isn't always brief. For privacy, I'll refer to my ex-girlfriend as Ellie, which isn't her actual name. I want to address the comments many of you have left, expressing gratitude for the time you took to share your thoughts. The consensus seems to advocate for moving on and making a clean break, a suggestion that carries considerable weight. A smaller group suggested giving Ellie another chance. Some criticized me for ending the relationship due to a lack of sexual intimacy or accused me of being overly fixated on her virginity, suggesting that my actions made her believe sex was necessary to maintain a relationship, possibly leading her into another's arms out of heartbreak. There were also speculative comments about pregnancy, which, as far as I know, is not an issue related to me. To those suggesting I use Ellie for sex and then leave her, or worse suggestions that some need either a hug or professional help, I want to clarify that such actions are against my principles. Our years together meant something, and feeling hurt doesn't justify exploiting her or anyone else. My concern was the absence of sex in our relationship, not her virginity per se. Her abstaining due to being a virgin was her choice, but had she made the same choice without being a virgin, my feelings would have remained unchanged. My previous post's title may have been misleading. It wasn't her virginity, but the lack of sexual intimacy that led to our breakup. For 3 years, Ellie received everything she desired from our relationship: love, affection, loyalty, support, and respect for her decision to abstain. However, this left me feeling unfulfilled as an important aspect was missing for me. In retrospect, I should have ended things when Ellie first expressed her wish to wait until marriage for sex. At 19 and inexperienced in relationships, I went along with it because of my strong feelings for her. Over time, I felt trapped in a situation that didn't align with my desires. This experience has taught me the importance of making active choices in relationships rather than passively accommodating the other person's wishes. Our differing views on sexual intimacy were irreconcilable, leading me to end the relationship rather than continue hoping for change. Delaying this decision was a mistake. It only caused more hurt for Ellie, something I deeply regret. Many argue that sex isn't crucial in a relationship, but for me, it's an important component. Everyone is entitled to their opinion, and I respect those who are content in relationships without sexual intimacy. However, that's not what I seek in a partnership. Some individuals expressed concern over my remarks about feeling led on by Ellie. Upon reflection, I acknowledge their point. Ellie was upfront about her decision to wait until marriage before engaging in sexual activity. In hindsight, my decision to stay in the relationship, harboring hope that she might change her stance, was misguided. She remained consistent in her views, and the error was mine for self-deceivingly waiting. Ellie never intentionally misled me. Discovering that she chose to have sex with someone else shortly after our breakup was painful, but as she is now my ex, her decisions are no longer my concern. People are entitled to change their minds about such personal matters, and it's not my place to judge her choices. My pain stems from an emotional place rather than a logical one. Logically, I understand she did nothing wrong by me. It's a matter of overcoming my wounded pride and the irrational feeling of being diminished because she took that step with someone else, despite knowing such thoughts are baseless. I acknowledge that I wasn't flawless in our relationship and have made mistakes from which I've learned. Ending the relationship with Ellie remains a decision I do not regret and believe was the best choice for me. Moving on from the background, recent developments have occurred. Over the Australia Day long weekend, I went camping in the Grampians, an experience that provided much-needed nature immersion and time for reflection with friends. Discussing the situation with Ellie around the campfire, where opinions varied much like those of my online post commenters, was therapeutic. My friends, familiar with Ellie through our years together, offered diverse perspectives. Amidst this, the lighthearted jests about my virginity continued, including a revelation about a pricey bottle of scotch awaiting a special occasion linked humorously to my personal life. A pivotal question from a friend, whether I would have considered reconciling with Ellie had she not reached out first, clarified much for me. Realizing the answer was a definite no helped me cut through the confusion, highlighting my passive approach to the situation and the need to actively pursue what I truly wanted. By the time I headed home, my decision against rekindling our relationship was firm, though this soon became irrelevant. Upon regaining mobile service and receiving a flood of messages from Ellie, it was clear she had reconsidered her proposal to reunite. She informed me that she and Tim, a pseudonym, were back together, and that their relationship was more serious than she had initially portrayed during our last meeting, apologizing for any misleading information previously conveyed regarding their connection. Ellie reached out, requesting a meeting to discuss the situation. But feeling upset and betrayed by her previous dishonesty, I declined via text, perhaps immaturely, as I was not in the right frame of mind to deal with more revelations. Her behavior seemed uncharacteristic, and I was both surprised and angered by the deceit. Despite my reluctance, Ellie attempted to call, which I ignored, and followed up with texts explaining she and Tim had argued and that it was a mistake to involve me, concluding with an apology. Later, driven by curiosity and perhaps foolishly, I searched for Tim online. His unique first name made him easy to locate on LinkedIn, where his connection to Ellie and his position as a director at their shared workplace confirmed his identity. His Instagram profile, filled with images of global travels, luxury, and several photos with Ellie, including ones from a trip to Singapore in November, indicated their relationship was indeed serious. This online snooping only served to dent my ego further, reminding me of the futility in comparing myself to Ellie's seemingly successful new partner. Recognizing that Ellie is no longer my girlfriend and that I am not in competition with Tim helped me resolve not to repeat this self-defeating behavior. My modest lifestyle as a university student starkly contrasts with the affluence displayed by Tim, highlighting personal insecurities I need to address. On Tuesday evening, despite my earlier refusal to communicate, Ellie appeared at my doorstep. She expressed remorse for the recent events and wished to explain her side of the story, offering closure before exiting my life if I preferred. I let her in, hoping for some clarity. Over a lengthy 4-hour conversation, Ellie shared her emotional turmoil post-breakup and how meeting Tim at work, where he managed a different team, eventually led to a romantic involvement. Initially worried it might be a rebound, she was drawn to his charm and attention. Their relationship developed over time into a sexual one, contrary to her previous stance on abstinence. When I questioned whether Tim had pressured her into sex, a concern based on her earlier comments, she clarified she had misrepresented the situation to avoid hurting me further. In truth, she initiated their sexual relationship. While I was initially upset by her change in stance regarding abstinence and felt misled by her lies, I understood her reasons and affirmed that as an independent adult, she had every right to make her own decisions without my judgment. Ellie's emotional response to my reassurance revealed her fear of my disdain. I assured her that despite everything, I harbored no ill feelings towards her. Ellie expressed regret over our relationship not working out, mentioning that she would have maintained her commitment to virginity if we hadn't parted ways. However, following our breakup, she reevaluated this vow. originally made to her father during her childhood, and concluded it was hindering the life she now aspired to lead. By the time her relationship with Tim began, she had resolved that she was ready to engage in a sexual relationship with someone she deemed suitable. When I inquired about her father's opinion on this change, she dismissed the concern, indicating it wasn't something he needed to be aware of. Curiosity led me to ask why she had proposed we get back together. Ellie shared that Tim, who is 32 and has been with their firm for a decade, was the reason behind her reconsideration. An offhand remark from a female colleague at work, referring to Ellie as just another one of Tim's girls, prompted Ellie to investigate. She discovered Tim had a history of dating multiple young female employees from their workplace, much like herself, leading to office gossip that painted her as merely the latest in a series of women exploited by him. Disturbed by this revelation, Ellie confronted Tim, accusing him of using her, which culminated in their breakup and her subsequent approach to me, hoping our relationship could be reignited now that she was open to exploring a sexual relationship. However, my initial hesitance and subsequent period of reflection led her to recognize this as a mistake. By the weekend, Tim had persuaded her to reconsider their relationship, and despite her attempts to reach me, which failed due to my camping trip, she left messages explaining the situation. It became clear that neither of us sought reconciliation. She was committed to giving her relationship with Tim another chance while I had moved on. Our conversation shifted to lighter topics, such as updates on our families and mutual congratulations on my university graduation. Ellie inquired about my dating life, and upon learning of my focus on studies and work, playfully teased me for being still a big nerd. She expressed a desire for us to remain amicable should we cross paths again, but emphasized the importance of maintaining distance out of respect for her relationship with Tim, which she was determined to make work. The meeting concluded with Ellie thanking me for my understanding and embracing me before she departed. Thus, the chapter on our relationship was definitively closed. Ellie brought me into the midst of her relationship turmoil. While I would have preferred to stay out of it, I'm relieved it's resolved. Reflecting on my feelings and taking a step back was crucial. Impulsively reconciling could have led to complications. This experience taught me the importance of trusting my instincts. Despite everything, I still hold affection for Ellie. She's navigating a complex situation with her current relationship and office rumors. My hope is for her happiness, with or without Tim. As my first love, she'll always hold a special place in my heart. But I've come to realize that our chapter has closed. I'm now focused on the future. This reflection turned out longer than expected. University tutors often criticized my tendency to elaborate excessively, but now that I'm no longer a student, their opinions matter less to me. I'm excited to embark on my new career path, free from distractions. The hard work and dedication are finally paying off. Starting Monday, I'll gain practical experience in my field, moving beyond theoretical knowledge. Not only will this job improve my financial situation, but I also have my graduation to look forward to in May. While I'm open to meeting someone new, it's not a priority. My focus isn't on pursuing relationships at the moment. Edit next day. Okay, you've convinced me. Today I blocked Ellie on everything. Since we agreed not to be in touch again, that shouldn't matter. But if she doesn't stick to that agreement, for example if she and Tim split fight again, then it won't be easy for her to contact me again. I thought it was a petty thing to block someone, but in this case you've convinced me that it's a way to take control of the situation. With luck, I won't hear from her again, and if I do, like if she knocks on the door, I'll remind her of our agreement and shut her off. Time to stop being passive and take charge of my life, a life Ellie will not be part of. I will respond to your interesting comments. Commenter: glad you came to the conclusion best for you. However, I feel you gave Ellie too much of what she wanted to feel better about herself, at the expense of your own emotional well-being. My answer: I was already pretty churned up about things from when she first asked to get back together. I wish she hadn't done that. But after she came to see me on Tuesday, it was easier for me. We got to mutually say no to a future together, and also put a lot of baggage in the bin. Is Ellie going to be happy? I don't know. I hope so, but I have my doubts about this Tim dude. But you probably can't trust my judgment on that. More relevant to me is whether I'm going to be happy. The answer is, Fuck yes, because I'm going to make that happen. How do you like this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Let's get 1,000 subscribers on this channel. Love you.